Hi students, I'm going to do a quick little mini video on some decimal basics. So this will be some familiar, maybe a little bit new. Hopefully my camera's working better than the last time. So the first thing I wanted to say, and some of you already acknowledge that it connects to what we already know about numbers. And I know decimals are not brand new for you guys, but I can tell that a little review will be good. So basically, we have our normal place value chart, right? The one that we're so familiar with since like forever. So we have our ones place, and 10 times more than that is our tens place. After that, of course, comes our hundreds place. And then after that would be our thousands, and then our 10,000s, and so forth. And so basically every time that you move over one spot on your place value chart, it's worth 10 times as much. Times 10, or you could think 10 times more, or whatever helps you think that through. But basically every time you take a step to the left, the value of a number is 10 times greater, and every time you go a step to the right, it's 10 times less. So for example, if you had, I don't want to draw it in because I'll run out of space, but if you had 40 pencils with the 4 in the tens place, that would be 10 times more than 4 pencils if you had a 4 in the ones place. So to the left is 10 times more, to the right is 10 times less. So numerically, this would be worth, that would be worth 1. This is like a 10. This would be like the hundreds place, and so forth. Every time that we go to the left, we would have one more factor of 10, one more 0 in the number. Now when we introduce decimals, I think it's really important. Just like when you're having your place value chart over here, you would have a comma. And when you see that comma, you say the word thousands. Well, right here, where you have the decimal, the word you say is and. And I know teachers are real picky, and I am one of them, that you don't throw in random ands when you're saying a number, because and has a purpose in that. And tells us that now there are also some parts. So there's however many, like 642 whole apples, and some parts. So when we're dealing with decimals, we're talking about those parts. So now we're continuing the same pattern. 10 times more to the left, 10 times less. So what would be 10 times less than 1? Well, that would be 1/10. And so this place value spot is called tenths. You have to really pronounce that THS. It's 10 times less. And one more spot over would be hundredths. And it literally means 10 times less than a tenth is 1/100th. So right now I want you to pause and think what we know about tenths and hundredths and what we know about fractions in general. So the denominator, the numerical value on the bottom of the fraction, tells us how many parts the whole has been split up into. And then the numerator, the number on the top, tells us how many parts we're representing. In this case, just the unit fraction, one of each. So you can imagine, you can always go back to the imagining like a tub of brownies. If you had a pan of brownies and you cut it into 10 parts, well, that's still a pretty good piece for everybody. If you cut it into 100 parts, it's a little teeny, teeny, tiny piece. So remember, the bigger the denominator, the smaller the part is. Now, it still matters what kind of part you have, right? Or how many of them you have. But the denominator is important in understanding how big that part is. So when we're talking about 7/100ths, that's a smaller amount than 7/10ths. 7/10ths is more than half. 7/100ths is just a teeny tiny little bit. So that's a basic on our place value system regarding decimals. More to come.